A new poll from Find Out Now has the Green Party ahead of Labour. Reform is far ahead with 32%, but here you can see both Labour and the Green Party on 15%. But when you break down the numbers, the Greens are slightly ahead. James Meadway tweeted, Greens are actually ahead of Labour for the first time. Detailed results have the Greens on 15.31% and Labour on 15.23%. Okay, it's a statistical tie, but technically, right, they do have they are polling above Labour, but whether you consider the Greens ahead or tied with Labour, the story here is that Labour are continuing to lose support, whilst Zach Polanski's Greens are going from strength to strength. Helena, aka No Justice MTG, broke down the numbers by age. Greens are leading in aggregate amongst the entire under 40 votes. And obviously, you can see the Greens winning over 30% of 18 to 29s and 23% of those aged between 30 and 39. Now, Reform is slightly higher with 28% in that age group, but the Greens are the clear winner when it comes to the young. Now, with that Find Out Now poll, I know it does inflate Reform's vote. I'm not sure if they do the same for the Greens. Kevin, for a long time, the role of the Green Party was to win, I don't know, maybe between 20 and 50 seats and to potentially push Labour and the Overton window to the left. But is it now possible that they could replace Labour before the next election?
It's not impossible, certainly, but I think we need to take this polling with a little pinch of salt. It is impressive what's happened with the Green Party. The membership more than doubling since Zach Polanski became leader is a massive, massive deal. The fact that if you combine the Green Party membership in Scotland with that of England and Wales, as they would with the National Conservative Party, then they're actually ahead of the Conservative Party in terms of overall membership, and are about to pass them just in England and Wales alone very soon to become the third largest party. And given that the Labour Party lie constantly about how many members they have, we don't even know how close they might be to catching them at some point in the not too distant future. The consistent rise in polling for the Green Party has also been very impressive. And I think Zach Polanski and his team, and indeed the kind of broader leadership of that party, have a lot of should deserve a lot of kudos for that. I think some of the messaging that's been put out there, the party political broadcast was fantastic that they did, and also a video they did yesterday where he reads through a Benjamin Zephaniah quote, a Benjamin Zephaniah poem, I should say, whilst going around and actually talking to the people of Handsworth in Birmingham, not just going there and calling it a slum and being racist about it, like some other national politicians have done in the not too distant future, distant past, I should say. Yes, but again, it has to be tempered with a certain note of caution. Find Out Now are a very, very pro reform polling organisation. They are consistently outliers when it comes to overestimating the number of seats predicted to be won by the Reform Party, and so that does skew the numbers slightly. I would take generally the poll of polls, that is the aggregate of the overall polling data from all of the various companies, which has the Labour still comfortably ahead of the Green Party. But in some cases, it's close enough to the margin of error where I think you genuinely have to think of them as both a national party and a legitimate threat to the Labour Party. Because, of course, what must be borne in mind during all of this is that the crazy notion, according to the people of Westminster, the one opinion that you're allowed to have, the crazy notion that everyone else understands, that if you offer progressive voters progressive policies, they're likely to A, vote for you, and B, join your party and want to see you elected, rather than the Labour Party's policy of trying to chase right-wing votes that they will never get, whilst eviscerating and incinerating the votes of the people that they've relied upon for generations to have any electability whatsoever. And so I don't necessarily think they will replace them. I don't necessarily think that they will get more seats than the Labour Party, although it depends quite how bad things get with Keir Starmer, of which more later. But as it currently stands, I would suggest that positioning themselves for the following general election to take over as the legitimate, like, number one progressive political party, certainly in Parliament and on the national stage, would be a more accurate and realistic possibility. But there's no doubt that if it continues in the trajectory it's going, with the Green Party going just soaring in popularity. We started this week with them just having passed 100,000 on Sunday, and we're now close to 120,000 by the end of this week. If that carries on, I mean, what point do they become the second largest political party in the country by membership? They are a legitimate force, and the Labour Party are a dying force, and at some point those will intersect and overpass one another, and we will see, I think, the Green Party become what the Labour Party was 100 years ago, an insurgent leftist force taking on a corrupt oligarchical elite.
Yeah, I agree with you about the polls. I think Find Out Now probably overestimates the Greens in order to underestimate Labour because it inflates reform, right? And if you're going to inflate reform, you're going to need to see a lot of smaller parties take up Labour's vote. But what I think here though is yes, I don't think on aggregate the Greens are on 15%, but this poll does show a huge spike in support in terms of membership numbers. I mean, what are we talking? 200,000 maybe in 6 months? I mean,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they'll have overtaken the Conservatives by the end of this month, and I think they'll probably do so by the end of this week, by the looks of things. By the day to day, they're getting thousands of new members per day. Which again, you got to bear in mind how seismic that is. You went from just over 50,000 at the time of Zach Polanski becoming leader to more than double that now in 2 months. That's crazy. That's crazy. The same amount of growth it took 40 years to get for the Green Party, they've gotten in 2 months. That's absolutely like epoch changing potentially, politically seismic stuff. And yeah, they have a legitimate chance to become the number one force. And we're already seeing, and this, you should take this as, I think, a mark of the success of his strategy in terms of communication. We are seeing the increased heat being turned up on him when it comes to smears against him, in the way that you are not seeing with Jeremy Corbyn, whose your party is fizzling out pretty badly, it has to be said. Which is a shame. I don't take any joy in that. It's a shame to see what's happening there. But there is a reason that the right wing are doing think pieces about how terrible Zach Polanski is and why they are not doing so for Jeremy Corbyn. It's because you get most flack when you're near the target, and he is very, very near the target.
I mean, Zach Plansky said, "We're not here to be disappointed by Labour. We're here to replace them." And yes, you're of course right. I don't see them replacing Labour at this general election, of course not. But that's the building blocks. But maybe afterwards. Seriously, I mean, maybe a real shock could be something like potentially over 100 seats for the Green Party in. I mean, what is it going to be? 2023, 2024? No, sorry, no, 34 actually. Wow. If there's early elections, of course, yeah.
Assuming it goes to a 5-year parliament, that's the year it would be. Yeah, absolutely, that's definitely possible. The thing you have to bear in mind is, in terms of getting the vote out and having an efficient use of that vote, is that you need on the ground party organising in the various localities, right? So you need, in each seat that you're targeting, you need to have a functioning political party, a branch or constituency party system, which the Labour Party have had well established for 100 years. The Conservatives have had well established for a long time. And I think one of the things that will hold back both the Green Party and the Reform Party in the upcoming elections is that they don't have that well-established, well-rooted local party system in order to actually get the vote out. Because it's easy saying that the National Party has this huge swing on things, which is definitely true. If a leadership is good, it can win people elections around the country. And if your leadership is bad, it can lose seats around the country, as we've seen from the fact that Keir Starmer is not going to Caerphilly because he will hurt the Labour Party's electoral chances. The same happened with Rishi Sunak, of course, during the last general election, where candidates were literally saying, "Don't send him here; he will lose me votes." Right? But what you need is locals on the ground who know the particular areas to target and the particular types of issues that really matter to those local people. You need that well established in your community all the time, because politics doesn't just happen at election time. Politics happens 24/7, 365. People talking in their communities, having good examples of local politicians, both elected and non-elected, doing things in their local communities is how you gain support and gain a local base of support, which is why incumbency is so difficult to overcome, because people have a well established idea of who their MP is or who their councillor is, and if they like them, they'll vote for them again and again and again, right? And that's what you need, well established in those communities, which the Green Party and Reform don't yet have, but probably will have if they work hard enough in the following election to this one.